Hi, today we're going to visit Boss Racing in Longfield in Kent, which is situated about 5 miles away from the famous Brands Hatch racing circuit. Flat floor setup and wheel alignment etc. is available from Caterham directly themselves at their location in Crawley near Gatwick, and from their other dealerships. So there's Williams, Silverstone and Oakmere spread across the country as well. But today let's go and have a look at Boss Racing and see what it's all about. Boss Racing offer a huge range of services. So from one end of the scale, they actually would offer full race support. So if you're a race driver and you wanted a full support for race weekend, then they would come and join you and cater for your every need and support you in your car whilst they're at a full race weekend. All the way through to the servicing setup that you see today. Until now, I've used Boss Racing to look after my road car, and in particular the setup and flat floor of a road car, which on a car like a Caterham will make a huge difference. One of the things I'm often asked is what are the best upgrades you can get for your car, for your Caterham, and my response is always the same. The best two upgrades you can get: number one, get your car set up properly, get the suspension set up, get it flat floored, and number two, get tuition, get better at driving what you've got. Those two things come way ahead of all the other upgrades you might think of. They're way down the line. Get it set up right, learn to drive it. I promise you will be the two things that you can actually do to get much better with your car. If you're a Caterham owner and you've not had your suspension set up before, or certainly not for some time, then definitely consider getting your car set up for its geometry and flat floor. This is one thing that you can do that will transform how the car feels under you. Across the wall are all sorts of bits of memorabilia, and there was one that caught my eye in particular, and ended up having a chat with Rob and found out something about history of Caterham that I was completely unaware of, and it's the Caterham go-kart. Now I've seen one of these before at the Caterham showroom at Gatwick, but when I seen this one on the wall, I thought I'd ask what was the history behind it, and I was told that actually they've never driven it, it's not really a runner, but actually it's got a significant piece of history. Now, you may well remember, you may well know that Caterham used to own and run a Formula One team. And at that time, the aspiration was, can you take somebody from the very grassroots of motorsport, which for many is go-karting, all the way through to Formula One? So the intention at that time was actually to launch a go-kart series, a number of go-karts, only a handful. I think it's somewhere around 8. If you know the exact answer, please pop it in the comments at the bottom. But a small number of go-karts were made, and as far as I understand, pretty much all they done was a press release. It never got through to actually fruition of being out there as a series. But this is go-kart number 1. On the paperwork it's number 1, and on the number it's number 1. So a real piece of Caterham history and memorabilia, and it looks just fantastic on the wall. I'd love one on my garage wall. So to get the wheel alignment set up, you can see that there's some very specialist equipment going here, and you need real skill and knowledge to be able to use it. Rob's aware of the regulations for Caterham Academy. There are parameters for your suspension to be set within. So in particular, the rider height of the car will actually be checked after every race, and is one of the two big reasons why cars or drivers are disqualified after the race. So it's critical that that's correct. Other things set up are to make sure that the wheels are perfectly aligned. When your wheel is at 12 o'clock, the car is straight as a die. Obviously you've got the camber of the road, but that in mind, the car goes straight. It just annoys me so much. If my wheels even just a small amount turn, it frustrates the hell out of me. The other thing set up, which particularly helped the car into a corner and through the corner, is the camber angle of the wheels, where we have the wheels slightly pointing inwards, and then the toe of the wheels. So the wheels on the front are what they call slightly toe out. I'm exaggerating the amount for effect, but the wheels actually point slightly out, and that actually helps the car to turn in and through the corner as well. So that's all set up and within the parameters specified within our race competition. And right the way through, you'll see Rob's continually checking that the ride height remains as near to as low as possible, with an extra 5mm built in. Like I say, the last thing you want to do is finish a race and then find you're disqualified because your car is slightly under. So the regulation is 140mm of ride height. If you're 139, it's as simple as that, you're disqualified. Here's the screen that shows the different readings for all of the angles that are going on with the wheels around the car, and then Rob knows exactly what adjustment is needed. The other thing that's been set up, as well as the wheel alignment, is what's known as the rake of the car, and that's the amount the car is actually pitched. So the rear of the car is actually set up slightly higher than the front of the car. Here's the real star of today's clip. It's Kane the dog. Oh, he's just wonderful, and if he's got a ball, he's going to be your friend all day. Kane just loves to come to work with his owner every single day, and it's fantastic. Once your setup's been complete, you'll be provided with a printout of the settings. So this shows all the different parameters and the readings. This is really helpful because it gives you a reference point. So at a later date, you can return back to either this setting or use it as a base point for a future setting. So it's really nice to know where you were on day one. Once the wheel alignment had been completed, it was time to do the flat floor. The whole car weighs a little under 550 kilograms. When I sit in one side, as you can see, I am a larger guy, but regardless, all of a sudden for me, that puts 100 kilos over to one side of the car, and it moves the balance out of place. What a flat floor attempts to do is spread that weight evenly across the car. For the actual flat floor, I'm actually sat in the car, so exactly the right amount of weight is in exactly the right position, and Rob is actually working around the various suspension settings to get it set up just right. You can see after every single adjustment Rob makes on the car, he needs to pull the car down on the suspension just so everything settles back in the correct place to make sure the measurement is accurate. The other thing Rob took care to do while setting up the weight distribution of the car is to make sure as near as possible an even amount of weight was over each of the front wheels. And the importance of that is, if you can imagine, if you are flying down the straight, hit the brakes, you want even amounts of weights over the front wheels, because what's going to happen is the wheel with the least load is going to lock up first. So you want the car to pitch down evenly. The rear of the car can be adjusted really quickly and easily whilst at the racetrack in between sessions. By raising the back slightly or lowering it, you can actually just change the weight distribution around your car, and it can help if your car is oversteering or understeering. You can make that small adjustment to the rear quite easily. The front's a different story. When that's set up, it's set up for your race weekend, and more than likely set up for the season. You don't touch the front, but the back, yeah, that's actually adjustable. Now this is the car of a very lucky owner who wanted to have a 2-litre Duratec spec car that needed to be brilliant as a track day car, but also use on the road. And here you can see it's actually in build at the moment. A real multi-purpose vehicle, and is built to just the specification for this very, very lucky customer. I can't wait to see this one when it's finished. While we're here, I want to take you on a little tour of the upstairs of Boss Racing, because you don't get to see this level of engineering in many places now, and this is one of the reasons I love these smaller companies. This level of engineering just fascinates me. So these trophies were either won by people that work within Boss Racing, or actually perhaps by drivers who they support as a team, and as a way of a thank you and recognition, the driver would actually pass their winning trophy over to Boss as a way of recognition. And a huge amount of silverware. If I can get just one of these during the season, I'm going to be a really, really happy person. Now as we get upstairs, you'll actually see the machine shop. Real proper engineering going on here, and the sort of things they do here are full engine rebuilds, modifications, and I'm lucky enough that one's actually on the rotisserie on the engine stand right now, and it's a 2-litre Ford Duratec. So the normal sort of spec for this in a Caterham would be 180, 210 brake horsepower. This customer last year was actually running way over 300 horsepower, and actually has come back to have a rebuild, and actually is looking to extend it again, and we think it's going to come out somewhere around 400 brake horsepower. In order for the engine to actually take that extra horsepower and remain reliable, there's a number of different things that they need to do. Here we can see the new crankshaft alongside the crankshaft that was removed. The original crankshaft is cast, the new one is fully machined, and actually it gives a crankshaft which is much, much stronger. it's lighter, and it's much better balanced as well. Here you can see the head of the engine, and the inlet and the outlet valves have been machined, so it gets the maximum amount of fuel and air in and exhaust gases out as efficiently as possible. Here are all the valves, springs, rods for the engine. Whilst it's apart, every single spring has actually been tested and checked and calibrated to make sure that they're all performing equally. So I think it's just wonderful that this level of engineering is still going on in this country, and really pleased to be able to show you this today from Boss Racing. Thank you so much for watching, and having you coming along on this journey with me genuinely means so much. The comments I'm receiving are fantastic. Please do give me your feedback. If you've got any questions, please post those below. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel. Those are the things you can do that would really help me out and make this channel a real success. So until next time, thank you very much.